Hey, this is Brad with umptracker.com, and unfortunately today, August 30th, the most interesting thing that happened is very similar to what happened yesterday that was most interesting. There was a game that was pretty unfairly called. This time it was the Pirates versus the Cubs. There were 25 missed calls, 16 in favor of the Pirates. The Cubs actually came back to win that game, but I don't really want to focus on that. Instead, I'm going to show you guys how to use the ZONE1 app. Just a brief introduction there. So there are a couple ways to get there from here. It'll load up the exact umpire if you want, if you go there. So you would get Brian Onora in the ZONE1 app, or you can just take the default route right there, which is what I'll do. Um, okay, so once you get here, what are we looking at right here? Well, we're looking at an estimated probability surface of a called strike for a pitch thrown in these different locations. So obviously much higher probability right down the middle. As you get to the edges, you have a much lower probability of seeing that pitch called a strike. Okay, so this is for Adam Hamari with both batter hands. You can select a pitcher's count would be like 2 strike counts, things like that. Hitter's counts would be 2-0, 3-1, stuff like that. And then you can also see across velocity how that changes. And so it's pretty interesting to play with that. So if we just show left, you're going to see it shift a little bit. And then right, you'll see it shift the other way a little bit. Both. And this is pretty universal between all the umpires. Some are more extreme than others. Adam Hamari is actually not very extreme in this. Pitcher's count, you'll see shrink a little bit. Hitter's counts, you'll see the zone expand a little bit. But let's take a look at somebody with kind of an odd zone. You'll see his zone is very shifted over here to the left, and it's much bigger than what we just saw from Adam Hamari. Okay, so how do I know that? Well, I've played around with this tool where you click anywhere on the heat map, and you can get an idea of his estimated chance of calling this pitch a strike, 68.73%. And then also, this credible interval comes from the model. It's interpreted as this because there's always uncertainty associated with an estimate. There's a 95% probability that the true probability of him calling this pitch a strike in this situation is between 0.655 and 0.718. Okay, so that's how you interpret that. But I would say the most interesting part of this and how you start comparing this umpire to the rest of the umpires is based on this plot down here, this comparison tab. This shows you across the 88 umpires in the model what their estimated probability of calling a pitch in this location, in this situation, a strike is. So as you can see, the lowest is CB Buckner at 0.377, and the highest is Angel Hernandez at 0.6874. What you'll see is, we're off by 1 decimal place there, but close enough. It's always going to be really close. Yeah, so you can see very, very different zones there. And if we switch over to CB Buckner, we get an idea. You'll see his zone will be vastly different. Yeah, so much tighter zone. This just illustrates how different some umpires are. Let's try a low pitch here. It looks like he might be. Yeah, so he has kind of a lower zone than what would be average. And let's go to Rob Drake, who probably has either a very small zone or a high zone. I already passed him. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so he has kind of like a smushed zone almost, where it's kind of wide over here. I would imagine that, especially over here, he's probably at least above average. Yeah. And then probably over here as well. But if you go top part of the zone, I mean, close to average to a little bit below. Let's maybe push it out of the zone a little bit and take a look. Yeah, same thing. But so a little bit more smushed up and down and wide. So kind of interesting. Each umpire has their own individual zone, and this really illustrates that well. Okay, I could play around with this thing for a while, but I think that that's enough time. All right, thank you guys for watching.